Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, gun violence has shattered two more communities in the United States this 4th of July. And some of the Republican presidential hopefuls are out courting first-in-the-nation primary voters this Independence Day.
Plus, the only thing hotter than the weather outside today will be the firework displays tonight. The latest coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening and happy Independence Day. I'm Steve Hensley. Police in Philadelphia say two men are in custody in connection with last night's deadly mass shooting that killed 5 people and wounded 2 young boys. It's one of several mass killings across the country leading up to the 4th of July holiday. CBS's Jessica Cartilia has the latest from Philadelphia.
Police in Philadelphia say Monday night's deadly shooting spree could have been worse had officers not been able to corner the alleged gunman in an alley.
Had it not been for their bravery, had it not been for their courage, we may have seen more lives lost out there.
Law enforcement officials say a 40-year-old man wearing a bulletproof vest and armed with an AR-style rifle went on a rampage across 4 city blocks.
Multiple shots fired.
Police say he shot at officers as they chased him before he was taken into custody.
I am frustrated and outraged that mass shootings like this continue to happen in communities across the United States.
Officers arrested a second person at the scene who they say returned fire in the direction of the alleged shooter. The 4 victims killed at the scene range in age from 15 to 59. Police believe a 5th man found dead in his home just after midnight is also a victim in this shooting.
We believe the deceased victim at the location inside of 1600 South 56th Street was the first shooting victim.
Gunfire also rang out overnight in Fort Worth, Texas, killing 3. Police say shots were fired into a crowd of hundreds of people hours after the end of a local festival.
We have our homicide unit working diligently on this to try to identify and apprehend any suspects.
The country has seen more than 24 mass killings so far this year. Jessica Cartalia, CBS News, Philadelphia.
In the wake of this latest violence, President Biden renewed his call for Congress to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. A woman is in the hospital after an overnight shooting in Lexington. Police found the woman shot on Georgetown Road around 1:40 this morning. Crews rushed her to the hospital. She is expected to recover. Officers have not made any arrests and are not releasing any information about a possible shooter. This holiday marks 1 year since a shooter terrorized parade goers in the Chicago suburb of Highland Park. Earlier today, community members gathered to honor the 7 people who were killed. The city is hosting a series of events to give community members a chance to gather and remember the lives lost. Highland Park Mayor Nancy Rotering spoke at a ceremony at City Hall and held a moment of silence at 10:14 a.m. to mark the exact time police say the first shot was fired.
1 year ago, we were shaken to our core. We were numb with shock and disbelief in the days that followed. We went through waves of grief and fear, sadness and anger have been a unifying thread, but in the face of adversity, we continue to move forward with compassion, determination, and purpose.
Rotering says the city is also planning a drone show instead of fireworks this evening to avoid the very familiar sounds of fireworks.
Well, locally, a warm and steamy 4th of July, as many 4ths of July are as we've gone through the years. And it did feel like a toasty one out there today. Here's the view from our camera on top of the building here, WYMT. Plenty of sunshine, 86 degrees in Hazard right now, 82 in Pikeville out there at the moment. And yeah, it remains on the sunny side. We're 86 Hazard, 87 London, Manchester, 88 Somerset, Monticello, and Harlan. Monticello was checking in at 90 not long ago, and it still feels like 95 out there when you factor in the humidity. So it is a warm and humid one out there for the cookouts and everything going on. Still watching a few downpours. We saw a few through the Big Sandy earlier, a couple in parts of East Tennessee. watching this one. About to move down the mountain parkway towards Stanton. So if you know anybody maybe having outdoor plans right now in parts of Clay City or Stanton, really all the way through Powell County, let them know they got a shower on their doorstep, but it is starting to fall apart out there. Your forecast first this evening, maybe firing up the grill. Not looking too bad out there. Toasty, though, 86 to start, and we stay there at 7 and slowly calming it down as we head towards 8 o'clock. By fireworks time, we're looking in good shape. I'll break that down in just a few minutes, Steve.
All right, Evan, thank you. It sounds like someone may have dropped their cocaine at the White House. The White House complex was temporarily evacuated Sunday evening after someone discovered a powdery substance in a Ziploc bag. It was found in a work area of the West Wing. The Washington Fire Department determined the substance was not hazardous, but a field test showed it might be cocaine, but that's not certain yet. The powder has been sent to a lab for further testing. Authorities have shifted their investigation to how it got into the White House. Republican presidential hopefuls are out courting some first-in-the-nation primary voters this Independence Day, while President Biden marks July 4th from the White House. CBS's Nicole Skanga has the latest from the campaign trail.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was among the Republican presidential hopefuls working the parade routes in New Hampshire this July 4th.
We need people to stand up and fight back, and that's exactly what we're doing.
They're courting first-in-the-nation primary voters in a race that's been slow to heat up this summer. Republican strategist Leslie Sanchez told CBS Mornings this election cycle, big GOP donor money is funding candidates other than former President Donald Trump.
You have a lot more conversations behind the scenes of people waiting to see if they can really be that alternative.
Among them, former Vice President Mike Pence, who celebrated Independence Day in Iowa.
For me, it was vitally important to be here where the journey to the White House always begins.
President Biden may look to last week's Supreme Court rulings on affirmative action and student loans to shore up some key voting blocs in his coalition, including young people, LGBTQ+ voters, and Black and Hispanic Americans.
Those are going to be groups that are going to be buoyed, that are going to be more enthused to show up and to turn out in 2024 because of those decisions.
Speaking from the White House to the nation's largest teachers union meeting in Orlando, President Biden took a swipe at Republicans.
Let's stand with teachers and educators against politicians who are trying to score political points by banning books.
The president is set to host active duty military families and other events leading up to the annual fireworks display in the nation's capital. Nicole Skanga, CBS News, the White House.
Former President Donald Trump had no campaign plans this holiday, saying he was spending it with his family. A Florida election law that would have set limits on voter registration has been blocked. A U.S. district judge ruled that Florida's solution for preserving election integrity violates the U.S. Constitution. The legislation would have made it illegal for people convicted of certain felonies and for non-citizens, including permanent legal residents, to collect or handle voter registration applications. Third-party organizations could have faced up to $50,000 in fines for breaking the law. This is the latest legal challenge facing the legislation, backed by Governor Ron DeSantis. The ACLU of Florida called the block a step in the right direction. Suspended Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton will not be taking the stand in his upcoming impeachment trial. An overwhelming majority of Texas House members impeached Paxton in May for reported misconduct, including claims he used his office to favor interests of a prominent donor. But Paxton's attorney is calling the trial illegal, absurd, and a, quote, sham that would encourage future kangaroo courts. Paxton is also accused of retaliating against whistleblowers and obstructing justice. The impeachment trial is set for September 5th. If acquitted by the Senate, Paxton would be able to resume his role as Attorney General. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, most Americans look forward to retiring at age 62. But according to a new survey, it makes more sense financially to wait until your full retirement age.
And more showers and storms not far away, but our break lasts a little bit longer. The latest after this.